The Lenny Peters Foundation is a nonprofit charity organization whose goal is to assist those in need around the world and even closer to home, right here in North Carolina.
Our mission is to be a helping hand here in the Triad community and also around the world.
Here at the Lenny Peters Foundation, I'm able to be a part of a team that is able to influence the local community and the world in various service projects.
We are interested in helping those less advantaged people. I call them God's people.
The Lenny Peters Foundation supports other nonprofit organizations who are doing great work for the people in the community.
When we are looking to give money to other organizations, there are a lot of great organizations in the Triad that are doing work, other nonprofits. We don't want to just write a check and attend the event. We want to look for organizations that can be partners on values, on missions, and that we can look to have some involvement with.
In addition to helping nonprofit organizations spread their mission, the Lenny Peters Foundation assists individuals that might be facing financial hardships by providing them with one-time financial assistance to get back on track. The recipients of the Foundation's gifts and support are from various backgrounds with differing stories, but their need is all the same.
Part of what drives the foundation is being a hand up, not a hand out. And the premise behind that is just to look for people that are in a situation where they need a little bit of help, and once they get that help, then they will be back on their feet. And so while a lot of our giving is to larger organizations that are doing great work in our community, a lot of our donations are also to individuals who are in financial hardship.
The organization, as again, we go back to the motto, helping hand here and around the world. It really is for the local person in some ways that needs a helping hand up and not a handout. They need some initial sort of help. It's for persons that are not immediately attached to some sort of service organization or a church or a charitable organization that gives long-term help. It's to get them connected. And many times that helping hand gets them through the initial crisis until they can be handed over or become more stable on their own.
Dr. Lenny Peters began the Lenny Peters Foundation out of a desire to give back in kind for what he has been blessed by God to achieve and accomplish in his life. Dr. Lenny Peters is the founder and CEO of several businesses, including Peters Holdings, Peters Medical Research, Peters Development, and Bethany Medical Center, the largest independent provider of medical services in the Triad of North Carolina.
They move on to the sidelined and the poor people, those who are left out and deserted by the common man. Lenny Peters Foundation move over to them and do give a helping hand.
When I think about Lenny Peters Foundation, I think about the millions of people who need help, who have not been as blessed as many of us. So I look at and think about the magnitude of the problem that the world faces, and I want to be one of those 1,000 points of light.
I am extremely happy to acknowledge all the services being rendered by Lenny Peters Foundation for the Latin Archdiocese of Trivandrum.
When I think of the Lenny Peters Foundation, I think of both local and global aid to others who need help. On the international level, we have been involved at Lenny Peters Foundation for several years with girls and boys homes, which basically are orphanages that take girls and boys in. When the young boys and girls come out of the orphanages after age 18, they have learned a skill set or have been educated in some kind of trade so that they can be employed.
The foundation is leading the way and providing unbiased financial assistance to over 200 orphans in India.
The number of people that we've helped and the inspiring stories have been very wonderful. And probably one of my favorite stories is a gentleman named Ray. He was a refugee from Asia. He came to the area and my family was involved with his processing here, and eventually he was helped by the Lenny Peters Foundation to purchase a vehicle so he could transport his family and get a job. And now today he actually works for Bethany Medical in one of our facilities and has a job.
Bethany Medical Lenny Peters Foundation
My main motivation to create and continue to work at Lenny Peters Foundation is that there are many challenges in this world, and each of us are given certain amount of talents and blessings, and based on the degree of talents we are given, we have to proportionately give back.
In India, Lenny Peters Foundation team members provide a cash gift in an envelope to those in need.
What Lenny Peters Foundation is really proud about, and I'm truly blessed to have a team of people here in North Carolina and also based in India, simply volunteering their time to help my cause.
I would say he is a gift of God, and his spirit he is spreading out through his children and formed a foundation to carry out his mission.
We are all custodians of certain amount of talent and wealth for a period of time. Their obligation is to share that.
I think it goes without saying the impact he has on our community from an economic standpoint, but that's really secondary to the great work that he's doing for us here in High Point and around the world.
Dr. Peters is one of the most kind men that I know. I know Dr. Peters has done lots for lots of people throughout the world, and it's just been a pleasure to know him.
A quote that I know of Bill Gates, I think, sums up part of how Dr. Peters views the world. It says, "Is the rich world aware of how 4 billion of our 6 billion people live?" And he answers the question by saying, if we did, we would want to get involved and make a difference. And that's what Dr. Peters, I know, is doing, both here locally and in his home country of India. I'm really inspired by the philanthropic side of Dr. Peters. We talk a lot about philanthropy in our everyday world. I think there's real meaning and real heart when we use that word in context of Dr. Peters. I'm fortunate to have the pleasure of working with him and knowing him.
I am able to touch the lives of many people that would not have an opportunity to receive not only financial help, but the feeling that someone cares.
When I think of the Lenny Peters Foundation, I think about sustainable good. I think it's my dad's belief in Christ, religion really, that drives him to give back to the community.
There are two types of people in the world. One is those who are interested in themselves, and the second type is those who are interested in others. And Dr. Lenny Peters is always interested to others.
My wife and I moved here to High Point with our 4 children in 1995. 95, 96, 97, 98, our sons played soccer with Dr. Peters' children. We all ran around at the Y together. We ran around over at the other soccer fields together. And we saw his children grow up over the years, and some of it was from a distance, and some of it was from a time when he would be our doctor, and some of it was from a time when he'd be our friend. But little did we know back then, when we made that first connection with him, that a little over 20 years later, it was his foundation, the Lenny Peters Foundation, that gave financial support to a foundation that we have a desire that honors one of our sons who lost his life in such a tragic way. And for that, our family will always be grateful to Dr. Lenny Peters.
And I thought a man with much proud, because he was spending crores for the poor. But I could see a humble man, very simple. I was proud to say a man from Latin community doing such a wonderful work.
They extend their great generosity and kindness to this ministry, and they made everything possible, as much as possible every month to help us out. That became a great source of strength for us to reach out as many as people will possible.
At the Lenny Peters Foundation, our #1 priority is to engage ourselves in some of the leading issues that face our community. We've always been interested in people who are less fortunate, sick, terminally ill, and in orphan children. And we'll continue to have that focus.
One could in fact say that the history of the foundation is Dr. Peters' own history, a provider born out of the necessity and calling to assist people in need.
It is my humble prayer that may the Almighty God shower His blessings upon him and his family members with abundance of wealth and health. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Lenny Peters Foundation, a helping hand here at home and around the world.